From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Monday's edition of FTP on this July the 31st, 2017. We're under a tropical storm happening. We're just kind of sitting this one, and the winds are coming in, and we're going to get a lot of rain and a lot of wind here in the Tampa Bay area, and they just closed the Skyway Bridge up to 60-mile-per-hour winds as we're looking at this thing blow through a little bit here, but this thing just came out of nowhere. A lot of rain, a lot of wind, and over the weekend kind of just dumped into the Gulf of Mexico, and kind of looking at some pictures of the storm front, and there's a name of it. It's Tropical Storm Emily that formed off the Florida coast, man, just fired up really, really quick. But anyway, we're dealing with that right now, and it's over us as we speak. But we're on the air, as you can see, and we got some emergency generator power going on, some backup batteries, so we should be fine. We should be excellent. Our conductivity is good unless things should get any worse and we're having to evacuate our building, but I don't think it's going to be the case. Tampa's been through a whole lot worse than the little tropical storms, but, sometimes you just don't know, and the meteorologists don't know. We didn't know anything until next week, and like I say, these things just fired up so quickly. So if you're up in the coastal areas, central Florida, this thing's going to be blowing through Gainesville and Ocala and Lake City and going up towards Jacksonville and up the East Coast, but it's supposed to be weakening as it hits land, and I presume that Tampa Bay is probably going to feel the worst of it as it comes through our area. It's not anticipated to get any stronger than that, so no worries. Just a rainmaker after Tampa, from what I understand, with a little wind. All right, President Trump from last week, very upset, as you can imagine. And you can understand why he's upset with health insurance. It's not just a matter of because, he's on the throne, so to speak. He's the president. It's because he really cares about America. And I think you'll hear his heart a little bit in his tweet. He says today, if Obamacare is hurting people, and it is, why shouldn't it hurt the insurance companies? And why should Congress not be paying what public pays? Donald Trump today. I like what he says. Not trying to make friends, folks. I think he's sending a message to Congress saying, you guys have it a little too good. You guys have your posh chairs. You have your nice positions. But meanwhile, Americans are suffering. America is hurting. There's real numbers out. We know that America is suffering. And you know what? Enough's enough. Enough with the bailouts. Enough with the preferred treatments. We're tired of it. And I think Donald Trump is tired, immensely tired, because he hears from the people. He's in touch with the people. As they called Princess Diane once the people's princess, and she was. But I think eventually what will happen is people will start saying that Donald Trump is the people's president. Because he really is listening, and I think that's why he goes out on the stump still, goes out and meets with so many different people, more than I can remember Obama doing, but really getting out with the folks. So the new reports on Obamacare imploding, they say next year, 1,332 counties in the United States will only have one health insurer operating on the Obamacare exchanges. This is according to recent data from the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services. They say the agency has been looking at health insurer announcements and compelling data to see what counties will have either one or no Obamacare insurers operating in 2016. Roughly a month ago, the agency projected that 1,300 counties would have only one insurer operating next year. The agency also previously reported that there were 49 counties with no insurer operating next year. But recent data finds that the number has declined to 40 counties. So this map that I'm talking about shows that nationwide, okay, breaking this down, 40 counties are projected to have no insurers, meaning that Americans in these counties would be without coverage on the exchange in 2016. It also projected that 1,332 counties, over 40% of counties nationwide, could only have one insurer in 2016. And this could be represented more than 2.3 million exchange participants that will only have one choice and may not be able to receive the coverage they need. In addition, the report finds that the average premiums have increased by 21.6% between 2016 and 2017, while carrier participation has declined by 31.2% since 2015. And a lot of this data came from the Washington Free Beacon. By the way, dated today. If you'd like to take a look at that, once again, that's our reference point of information where we found this. But we found it in multiple locations afterwards, reporting on it, and it's accurate. Always like to go to the source, and that's where our source is. We don't make this stuff up by any means, but it's hurting. And Donald Trump's frustrated. I'm frustrated immensely. You know, they say, oh, you shouldn't let these stories affect you. You shouldn't let that take a foothold in you. But, you know, can you imagine sifting through these stories and having to watch hours of news stories and Sunday morning programs and afternoon shows and digesting all of this and listening to the leftist lunacy and just the lunacy in general, even with Republicans, my own party in Washington, over these politics, of not being able to come up with something that works for the American people, the inner fighting, the lack of, in my opinion, trying, because there's people that are trying, but there's many that's not even putting their heart and soul into it, except defectors that are just all they can say and say with definity is no. It's easy to say no. It's harder to roll up your sleeves and actually find solutions. And that's the problem with Washington, D.C. these days. I like having intelligent conversations with folks that are in the know, like Dr. Pat Choate. I talk with other very fascinating people that have a lot of interesting insights into the inner workings of government that I won't always call them out. But Pat Choate, an extremely intelligent economist, but he said something to me a while back that just stuck with me, and I've said this before. He says that, Washington, D.C. used to be a city of ideas, where people actually talked about ideas and solutions, etc. He said, now they just talk about money. About money. Yeah, that's what they're concerned about, padding their own coffers. And I'm afraid that they may not be reelected. Think about this for a second. If Donald Trump himself was really trying to, like Barack Hussein Obama, trying to make everybody happy, especially the mainstream media, for leftist America, left America, Hollywood, for the cats that put him into the position itself anyways, after a very dismal performance as a senator in Illinois, where he was absent more than present for any votes than any senator in history in that state. Seriously, he was absent. Forget about his accomplishments as a law professor, community organizer. I'm talking about a senator that was absent more than present, and certainly did not make any profound changes or any good change for Illinois. Anything that you could put it's not a surprise, honestly, that you vote for somebody that doesn't have really any level of accomplishment into a position, then you expect performance to take place. We were doomed from the start. We were doomed from the start from a lot of other presidents besides beating up with Barack Obama. But, you get what you put in. You got to know what the person has accomplished, what he's done, what kind of person they are. They're not fighters. They're quitters, and they stand for garbage. Well, you're going to get more of the same. And then they're going to associate with people that are not winners at all, but people that give up very easily. Donald Trump is not a quitter. And I believe that he's fighting very, very diligently for America. And I don't think he's looking at the numbers. Like, he did not pay attention to the negative numbers, the negative news media, fake news network, and for any naysayers out there that said that he would never be able to win, ever take the position, ever even become or be considered for a GOP nomination, let alone the presidency. There was this little girl on television, cute as can be, and she goes to the CPAC conventions and all, and gosh, I don't even think she's 14 years old yet. And she said back at her school are all these people complaining because her parents are complaining about Donald Trump being a president. And she says, who's your president? Who's your president? Who's your president? Who's the president? And they have to say it because obviously Donald J. Trump is the president of the United States. That's reality. That's real reality. At real Donald Trump. The moment people grasp that truth from leftist America, the better off you're going to be and our country is going to be, because you will be in a real reality. Then we can move forward. Then you can actually start living your life and be a happier individual. We want this country to win, no matter who the president is. He's in the position, and he's in a position that could make a difference for all of our futures here and into the future, for all of our kids, for future generations. Presidents make a big difference in the position of the power that he is in and the decisions that he makes each and every day. We should never take lightly. We have his attention. The world has his attention, and the world is watching, folks. What the world doesn't need is media professionals, quote-unquote professionals, who go on television, and their only modus operandi is to sit there and degrade the president. Rake him over the coals at any expense. Comedians that go out of their way on their opening dialogues to assault the president, the commander-in-chief, and disrespect the office when it's that very person that actually shapes the country that you live in and protects the country you live in. That's right. The U.S. president is a big deal. Now, I understand it's not one man. I'm not that naive not to understand this particular thing. There's definitely other powers to be. But he is very influential and can be. And I believe this president has done more in his 6 months than Obama's done in an entire 8 years. Very evident on what he's doing. And another accomplishment that I'm very proud that he is able to make this happen for a Vietnam Army medic who put his life on the line. He's from Michigan, by the way, who risked his life multiple times to rescue several comrades, becoming the first person to receive the medical honor from President Trump. McLaughlin is who I'm talking about. He was a 23-year-old private first class who had been drafted